Welcome to the Inward Investing Podcast.
I'm Todd Whelan.
And on this show, we've polled our audience, what would you like to see become less acceptable in our society in the future? And we can't wait to share the results. We have a hell of a show for you today.
Hell of a show.
Hell of a show. We're talking about some deep stuff, and I like to think about this show as one that, you know, we get into some really deep stuff. We're not your average run-of-the-mill
like deep,
fitnessy podcast.
Deep.
Let's talk about society, man. Let's get into some stuff worth talking about. But first,
What did you do this weekend? It was maybe something important for you this weekend called a Dad's Day.
It was actually Father's Day.
Oh yeah, Father's Day. That's it.
Father's Day. That's right. And we both celebrated. And I'll have to say, so I want to poll you on this one. My first Father's Day was really weird. And in a way that, you know, like the mom kind of goes through all of the work, you know, you do the fun stuff and you're kind of along for the ride. And then, you know, before you know it, you're being celebrated for Father's Day. And I don't know, I just didn't feel like I deserved that much credit yet.
Yeah. Yes. Ashley breastfeeding and everything like that. So it's just like, hey, good job.
Yeah, let's celebrate me now.
Yeah, like this whole weekend, you know, we were with Ashley and then her parents, and we actually were at a house that one of Ashley's clients gave to us for the weekend down on the beach. It was pretty cool. But like, yeah, I didn't feed Blaze once. Changed some diapers, you know, play with her, but it was like, and then all of a sudden it was Sunday. It's like, oh, it's Father's Day. Here's a card and a present. And it's like, yay.
You've done such a great job helping.
Yes, yes. Helping me raise this child. But the thing is too, Mike, my birthday is May 30th. My dating anniversary is June 14th. Wedding anniversary June 15th, and then Father's Day was June 16th.
You guys keep your dating anniversary?
Well, I just know what it is, so I was just, you know.
Because it's so close?
To the wedding anniversary.
You are a saint.
Yes.
You deserve an award for remembering your dating anniversary.
The first date was in May. I know that day, too. It's weird.
The only thing that saves me is that Leah doesn't remember our dating anniversary either.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the only thing that saves me. Otherwise, I'd be held to it, and I would constantly forget. But how was it for you? Did you feel the same way that I did on your first Father's Day?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Like, shouldn't have gotten anything or did anything special for me. You know, just like the normal Father's Day stuff. Like, oh, here's a card. Happy Father's Day. Like,
yeah. Oh,
let's pitch in and get Dad this. You know, or something like a T-shirt. Or, you know, take him out to dinner. Good job, Dad.
Yeah.
But it was weird.
Well, you also found out that because it was a combo with your birthday, that a lot of us chipped in on a special surprise for you.
Yes, it was pretty awesome. So my wife reached out to some coworkers, some clients, to get a big gift for me this year of pooling a whole bunch of money together so that I can now get a certification of my choice.
And which one are you getting?
I don't know yet. I'm so torn.
I will say I was extremely touched on my birthday that you kind of led a project like that and that we could do that for you in return.
Ashley told me like yesterday, she's like, I know it's sort of like a cop-out because you did that for Mike for his birthday, but I felt it'd be the best thing for you. It
was awesome. I think.
Yeah, exactly. Blown away.
I've never heard of anyone doing that for each other. Like, I thought it was a really original idea, and certifications are really expensive these days. So for anyone, it's always a long shot to be able to do one in the first place. Mm-hmm. And to have people that know you well enough to know that means a lot to you and to pool together, that's awesome. And so have you decided which one?
Well, so there's two of them that I want. One is pseudo-local down in Bradenton at the IMG Academy. So traveling expenses and hotel equals 0.
Great.
Right? So
big selling point.
The other one is in Denver. So mucho travel expenses, hotel. I mean, I guess I don't really do much. So I mean, like Uber would be fine, so I wouldn't have to really rent a car. But like,
and the way the universe would have it, that's probably the one you want the most.
Well, that's the strong first endurance one that I want to go to. And the other one is RPR, the reflexive performance reset.
Since when did you get into endurance?
It's kettlebell endurance, so it's a little different. So it's max power endurance kind of stuff.
This sounds like a different podcast.
Like the 10 seconds on and then like the 40, 50 seconds off.
I see. I don't see, but you'll have to explain that to me in a different show.
All right, in a different podcast.
So
that's why I'm so remarkable at everything fitness related, Mike.
Well, you know me, I'm a fan of learning, and I would pay for a seminar to learn how to build a campfire. Like, I just like learning things, so I value that a lot. So
pretty bad that you don't know how to build a campfire, Mike.
Yeah, well, I just let the cat out of the bag. I don't know how to build a campfire. That's a lie, but no, it's not. I don't.
TP it up, Mike.
I think that's one of the coolest things you can do. So anyone out there that's listening, if we have a fitness base, which I think we do for this podcast, those of you out there, I mean, you're elevating somebody by giving them, some education that they couldn't afford otherwise. Obviously, you have to value it. If it's somebody that's not looking forward to it, you don't give somebody education who doesn't want it. It's really dry.
Yeah, I got a certification. I got to go learn stuff. Yeah.
But the fact we all work together, I mean, that means you're making your own business environment better. So anyone out there that hasn't thought of that, that's a cool way to celebrate birthdays and whatnot. So I will tell you, as far as Father's Day goes, it gets better. It's like this one was a really cool one for me because, as your kids grow up, you get a lot more involved. They start speaking. They're funny. They want to play baseball and soccer and all these things. So you're a lot more involved, and they made their own cards for me.
Oh, that's cool.
That was cool. I mean, Blaze is not making a card for you.
Not yet.
When
she's 5 months old, you think she'd be able to, her penmanship skills would be better.
I know, really dragging over there, Blaze. Pick it up, which Blaze is not with us today. I mean that in a sense that she's at another gym.
Yes.
So
she's been to the gym more than a lot of the population in the world.
Our podcast won't sound like a Timbaland song today. So today's topic, we're talking about society. We're talking about social norms. This fits into the big four as far as a little bit in the relationships, but mostly environment, like your social environment. But before we get into that, Todd, I want to let you know that I have a bone to pick. I have a personal agenda here. I've heard the phrase, "Was the juice worth the squeeze?" more times than I would care.
I have never heard that.
You've never heard that?
Never heard that once.
Well,
right now,
off the bat, can you understand what that means?
Yes.
What the intention is?
Yes.
The intention is, was it worth the trouble?
Worth the squeeze?
Yeah. So, I'm getting personally tired of it. I feel like it's getting old. So I came up with some alternatives.
Okay.
All right. So
let's hear them.
In regards to college, was the tassel worth the hassle?
Okay.
Was the dig worth the dirt? My personal favorite, are the plants worth the ants? Meaning, are all the beautiful things you have around worth the upkeep and the trouble? A Ferrari, for instance, is it worth the $300 oil change, $1,000 oil change? Are the plants worth the ants? Was the tea worth the teas? Which doesn't make any sense, but it sounded good. Was the goose worth the gander? So all of our over 80 crowd, they might know what that means.
Isn't a gander of geese a bunch of geese? So is it like one geese for...
I thought gander was more like wander.
Yeah.
Was it worth wandering around just to find that one goose? I might be
flock of geese.
I might have taken some liberty on that one. And then finally, my personal favorite, even more so than plants worth the ants, was the tramp worth the stamp. You could also say it backwards, is the stamp worth the tramp? Well, that's all I got for you on that one. I hope you got some new material and no one is using "was the juice worth the squeeze" ever again. All right, so let's get on with the main topic, which is a poll question that we put out on social media, and we did a little polling around our local community. A question about societal norms. All right, so let me set this up. Smoking, for instance. if you went to the grocery store today
Okay.
and bought some groceries,
All right.
you would be at least taken back a little if the cashier was ringing up your groceries while smoking a cigarette.
Yes.
Or if you're at the doctor's office and you pass by a break room full of doctors between patients smoking cigarettes. Sometimes something that is completely acceptable behavior can over time become completely unacceptable.
Cigarettes on the airplane.
Cigarettes on an airplane, for instance. So what is going on today that is completely acceptable that you would like to see become unacceptable in the future? And I want to clarify, I'm not necessarily talking about legalities. It doesn't have to become illegal.
No,
but
yes.
something that society kind of self-checks where it becomes uncool, or society kind of balks at. What's something that's acceptable now that you would like to see become unacceptable?
So something this one is kind of niche specific and more specific to my time right now, is people shaming breastfeeding in public.
Yeah.
Like,
really?
Yeah, or you see someone take a picture and someone's breastfeeding. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing that. Do that in public or do that in private. It's like, it's just, the baby needs to eat sometimes. Like, Ashley's fed in public, and it's, she puts like a little thing over so she's not just like right there, but it's not that weird of a thing. Yeah, I understand if I was a kid and I would have been like, oh my goodness, what is that? Like, what's happening? But if it was just like a normal thing and it happened more often, it wouldn't be that weird of a thing anymore.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Shaming breastfeeding in public.
Shaming breastfeeding in public. You would like to see that go away.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. That's something that's historically very natural, and we could even, it's safe to say that it's the better way to feed an infant. Something that's completely natural and better, I think. I understand, like you said, maybe that it can be shocking. The only reason it's shocking is because it's not normal. I know this is kind of a reach, but I do feel the same way about, when people see food documentaries and they find out, really that animals were killed in order for them to eat them, that it's alarming. And I understand that some people have a knee-jerk reaction to it, but that's because it's not part of their normal life growing up. And, we used to have
a farm.
We used to have 50 to 60% of our population living on farms when the FDA was created in 1865, I think, and now it's less than 2%. So, of course, if you're blind to it growing up, it's going to be shocking. So I think that level of our understanding and intimacy with nature, I think causes some of that. Absolutely, that's a really good one. Well, we did poll the public. We polled our social media accounts and people around us, and so I want to share some of the answers. And as you're listening, feel free to email us your response at inwardinvesting@gmail.com or share it on our social media page where you'll see at inward_investing. You'll see the poll right there is one of the posts. Feel free to share it there. But we got some interesting responses, and I think we could discuss them. And also, when you ask this type of a question, you really get a good look at what people are really dealing with at that time.
Oh, yeah.
So some people thought very deeply with this, and some people skimmed the surface, really mailed it in. But number one, talking on your phone loudly in public got 2
Oh,
votes.
like the speakerphone, where people can't talk. They just talk on speakerphone. It's like, I don't need to hear any of that.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Like the person behind you at the line in the grocery store, just chatting away super
And
loud.
Bluetooth is so much better than when it came out.
Yeah.
Like, I remember getting, we had those little headsets, and it was kind of weird at first. But now, any headphone has Bluetooth in it, and, you can chat just at a normal volume.
Yeah.
So.
Go find your invisible phone booth.
Yes.
And go talk there. 1 for bullying.
Okay.
Now, I'll add some context here that the person that suggested this, we talked about this in a training session, and we both agreed that bullying will never go away. I think bullying, as much as people don't want to think about it this way, it's a natural hierarchical social behavior for somebody to illustrate their dominance over somebody else in public. Now, what we both agreed on, though, was that we don't spend as much time and energy trying to end bullying, but we try to spend a lot of time and energy teaching people that it's okay and becoming more okay with stopping it in the moment as the crowd watching it happen, and not just allowing it to happen in front of you and post on Facebook about it later. Like, we need to be much more courageous in the moment, stopping it. And especially the people who are more powerful. If you're a bystander, let's talk about school. Some of the kids that are cooler, it means a lot more if you step in. Or even, if you feel like you're, one of the weakest ones in the building, David and Goliath kind of thing. That's really encouraging when you see somebody who is, can put themselves on the line and do what's right, even though it's not an advantage to them. So, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I think what you said is perfect. Yeah, there's a lot of energy. Yeah, I don't think it'll ever stop, but who knows? Maybe we can make it. It may not stop, but we can make it like against the norm, like you said.
Yeah.
We can make it weird.
We can make it really weird for
the
people that are bullying
him? That was weird. You're weird, dude.
Yeah.
Because people still try and smoke on airplanes. Doctors still try and sneak smoke breaks, and they just can't do it inside the thing anymore. So like,
there should be a sense of shame attached to something like that, in my opinion, just because of the health risks. Again, even when we're talking about it now, I'm sure there's some people listening right now that are thinking like, hey, dude, that's still a personal choice, and who are you to say that should be shameful?
Yeah.
But when there's something that's knowingly bad for you, and it's knowingly bad for other people who are around you, you're going to feel a little bit of that sense of uncomfortability while you do it. You're going to have to go hide and whatever. So at least we have something like that. One person said, reply all. He hopes that goes away right away. And you could tell, he's an attorney, and obviously I thought in the moment, as soon as he said it, I was like, dude, that happened to you today, didn't it? Like, obviously this is a
1,000 emails.
This is a big problem in your world.
He's never had to even see or respond to because it was replied all. Oof.
That's obviously really high on someone's list. Email us if reply all is a big problem for you. 2, for obesity and childhood obesity. 1, for me, that was mine, childhood obesity. And this is a really delicate topic, but I'm not talking about legalities, and I'm not talking about pudgy kids. Yeah, if you're an overweight kid, no one should be talking about your weight. No, we need to leave kids alone about their looks.
Yes.
But when you can tell that it's getting to the point of a kid's well-being, that we're going beyond genetics now.
Oh, yeah.
We're going beyond financial capabilities. Some families literally can't afford organic food and stuff like that. But I can say, as a father of 2 that rarely made, as a family of 2, there was a point where I was making $30,000 a year, $25,000 to $30,000 a year as a father in household income, and we were on assistance for a year. I openly talk about this stuff. I know government assistance is probably another one of those things I could talk about too, that there's a level of shame that comes along with that, and there doesn't need to be. As long as you have an exit plan, you're using it responsibly. I think the negative association is that people just live on it.
Yeah.
If you're willing to work at it like we did, work our way into the point where we can become better off, but we were still able to feed our kids good food because I made the intention to. And I feel like I have a license to talk about this because we were a low-income family with kids. But we have this, really backwards way of budgeting here, where I understand, like a lot of our assistance programs for poorer families are there to help people who don't make very much money still feel like they're a part of society. And I understand that. But, having that assistance to get yourself a cell phone, awesome. I think it's pretty normal. Like, jobs sometimes require cell phones, a car. But we also tend to afford those things before we factor in food. And we could do can you really, if you had to, afford better food for your kid if it affects their well-being, rather than get the iPhone 10?
Nope, iPhone 10.
Can you, and there's all kinds of situations there, but what I hope right now, if you can see a kid is obese, it is disrespectful for you to bring it up right now. And I hope that stigma goes away. I hope that we're able to, as a society, start self-regulating that and start holding ourselves accountable for the mistreatment of kids when it comes to the point of mistreatment. Again, I'm not talking about overweight kids. I'm talking about when you can tell it is becoming a medical issue. There are some kids that are 8, 9 years old, 10 years old in this country that have type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about.
What used to be called adult onset diabetes.
Yeah.
Because they were heavier adults or issues arose. But now it's just type 2 because so many children have it.
Yeah. So many
crazy.
children. It's not just an adult disease. So my hope is that stigma goes away and there's a level of responsibility that we're able to accept when it comes to the treatment of our kids health-wise, and that we just don't have an open license. So on another note, somebody suggested soda. They hope soda becomes far less cool to drink, particularly cola. So I guess they were making the distinction between club soda and your colas. And
because they probably wanted to drink their alcoholic drinks with the club soda. And
yeah. I still want my margarita.
Is club soda and margaritas?
My wife makes hers with club soda, lime, and tequila.
Oh, wow.
She makes a little margarita just like that.
I don't think I've ever had a margarita, so I wouldn't have
Keeps it filler free.
No idea.
Yeah, for those of you out there that need your marg, that's a much better way to do it. Somebody suggested less phone time. Just a lot of phone time becomes less cool, and we're able to self-regulate somehow there, society-wise. I had 2 for texting and driving.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big
Even
one.
talking and driving.
Watching and driving.
Going on Facebook and driving. Instagram and driving. Swiping left or right and driving.
We know some people that FaceTime and drive.
Yes.
That is nuts. Absolutely. So that's when you know it's like, okay, we got to do something about this.
Are you that important that you can't be off your phone for whatever drive you have?
Yeah.
What's the average length of time you're in the car? Even if it's long, even if you have a long drive, let's say it's an hour to and from work.
Yeah.
Like you're that important that you can't put your phone down for 1 whole hour.
Yeah. And we have this obsession with busyness, I think, and busyness is just kind of, it's really more in your mind. If we have, when before the car was invented, there's a certain amount of hours you could work and a certain distance from home that you could work. Car was invented, then all of a sudden we could work further away, we could expand our schedules, and whatever that allowed us to do, we filled in the gaps with our time. Mm-hmm. We became busier, and then planes became an option, and now we could do work all over the place, and we could become busier. Think about even as far back as the light bulb. Light bulbs change our ability to work at night and do more things at night. And whatever we're allowed to do, we're going to expand our schedule to fill it all the way up.
Can you imagine if we, for 1 week or even 1 month, take all the lights out of your house?
What would life be like?
Just think of how rested you would be.
You have no choice but to go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, I could read read a book by candlelight, or go to bed. Yeah, try and use 0 electricity after a certain hour, as soon as the sun sets.
That would be a good project out there. If we had the funds, if our sponsors could come through with the funds, I would pay somebody. I wouldn't even do it myself.
I would do it, yeah.
Well, the problem with a family is I know there's some dad out there thinking right now yeah, I'll do it, but then the kids they don't understand why daddy just cut the lights off.
It'd be easier for me right now because Blaze is still so little. So just be she feeds at 8 o'clock yesterday. And Ashley and I went to bed early at 8 o'clock. It was still kind of light out.
Yeah.
We were putting her down, and then Ashley and I are all right, we'll probably go to bed soon too. And I'm it's still kind of bright out, and we're going to bed.
That's a sign that you're getting really old.
But we've been doing that for a while. So
I've decided that nothing's worth staying up for anymore. I was telling somebody about a documentary about Flint, Michigan, everything they're going through. And I was I didn't intend to tell the story this way, but I was the movie's so great. This happened, that happened. Can you believe this? This was awesome. And they're and then what happened? I'm I don't know. I fell asleep halfway through the movie, but I can't wait to watch the rest.
Probably maybe this weekend, if not next weekend, but I'll watch it.
Yeah, no, I plan on it. So even something I was riveted by, I want this thing to win best movie, and I still wasn't worth staying up for. I still fell asleep. I just got taken under. And
OCB, obsessive compulsive busyness.
I think that would be a really good one for you because Ashley's already full hippie.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, I worked with her for a while on some circadian rhythms, and you guys went amber lighting and all that. And
I've been listening to binaural beats and isochronic tones while I sleep lately.
I know what binaural beats are. I have no idea what
so
isochronic tones.
mean you don't even need headphones for that one. It's just like a constant like do 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 do, and it apparently does something with like the frequency and hertz.
So it's like a rhythm?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So that one you don't need the headphones. It's like for binaural beats, so they play like one frequency in one ear, one frequency in the other ear, and then your brain goes the frequency in between. So isochronic is something different, and it does something with the waves, the sound waves, or something like that. So
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm on that.
yeah,
I'm on that. I'm going to look that up as soon as we're done recording.
yeah. So that's what it sounds like. You can listen to while studying, cognitive enhancement. If you want to be more focused, like they have a whole bunch. Like you can go on YouTube and stuff, but like I mean, I'm sure some of them are crap.
Yeah.
You just gotta find, and then some of them are for sleeping or, just all different things. Like there's some that's like, oh, if you listen to this one, you'll produce more testosterone and growth hormone because it matches
Hell
that
yeah.
frequency while you're sleeping. Yeah, this one will make you grow 5 inches. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Like with those, can you play a song on top of it? Like binaural
Well, it's
beats,
just-
you can play like whatever
Yeah.
music or sounds on
Yeah,
top
with
of
everything you can.
frequency.
Yeah. So most of the time it's like waterfall or like something. I've listened to a few like pre-workout ones, like while I'm like stretching and stuff. Like have the binaural beats going in my headphones. I don't know if it's placebo or
Did
something.
you double
I feel
your
a little
pull-ups?
bit. Doubled, tripled, Mike. No, I think it's just a little bit because I think it just enhances. But like that had like a techno-y dubstep beat over the binaural beats. So
That's awesome.
we could play it in the background of our podcast so everyone focuses better.
Ooh. Now we're talking
So
Illuminati.
Mike, you go. Ooh. And now you got to put it in right channel, left channel. Ooh. There you go. Now you're focused.
All right. I want whoever's still listening, please email us and tell us what you just felt. Good or bad. We want to hear it all.
Yes. Yeah, maybe we put you into like the I want to kill someone mode,
Oh God.
the aggression mode.
Oh God. I hope
All
not.
right. So what are some other ones? Getting back on topic.
Back onto the list. So a really good one. Again, some people came up with ideas that I wouldn't have thought of. One is drunk in public. They hope that has become something that's a lot less acceptable. And they're talking about just how people change entirely drunk in public and it's acceptable. And they hope that this particular person's just, I guess, disgusted by that. They want to see it go away. One person said drinking alcohol in general. They
Wow.
said far too many problems come from drinking alcohol, and they hope that it's a very normal and acceptable thing to drink alcohol, and they hope it becomes a lot less acceptable, kind of like smoking weed has been treated. They hope that gets reversed.
Yeah.
Weed, the stigma of weed gets attached to alcohol, and weed gets the attachment that alcohol has had. Two people said social media, and there was a little difference between the two. One person said they hope social media isn't such a centerpiece in someone's life, and then another person said they want death to the social media influencer. How some people have been paid on social media because they can influence others, and they're called an influencer. For instance, Kim Kardashian just visited the White House as an influencer and got to present in front of Congress. So they hope that gets banned. One person said the bird flip.
Bird flip.
Flipping the bird. So they said people use it way inside their car. They're just willing to dish them out like it's free money, and they just hope that people kind of go. And I think that what they were really talking about is people get so much more aggressive or bold while they're covered in armor than they would if you were standing in line at a deli and people are just walking around. No one would react the way that they do.
Can you imagine you're
in
in
a
the
line.
grocery store waiting and you're like texting and you don't move up quick enough? Someone's like, "Hey!"
Huh?
and gives you the finger like right behind you, and you
Right.
just like walk forward like, "Oh, sorry," and just keep going like, and then it's just normal.
Who would do that? Exactly. No one behaves the same way
And then
in
just,
person
like,
as they do in their
just go
car.
talk to the cashier like normal, like you didn't just flip out. Hey, how's it going?
And just move on. And then as soon as they yell at the person for not moving up fast enough, they answer their phone and start talking loudly in line.
Yes.
Do the same thing. So I'm on board with that. Maybe not the bird flip. I think the bird flip can be useful at times when used correctly. Environmental disrespect in the name of progress was named, meaning I think that's kind of already on the way, though.
So 2 of mine are litter and pollution.
Litter and pollution, right in there. And you're an earth science teacher, so I'm sure you have like an eye out for that stuff,
Yes.
and it burns you a little bit more than the average person. This person said the same thing. So kind of how corporate America is, we never know how much we're abusing the environment until way later.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like the straw.
yeah, the straw. That was one thing that they mentioned. Are just over reliance and I guess really abusive use of plastics. It's
Single-use plastics and
single-use
styrofoam.
plastics.
So the only thing is diapers. I know they make cloth diapers.
But those suck.
Yes. So we need to find a better way, a more environmentally friendly diaper. Because there's a lot of diapers that are being used.
A lot. And those are not biodegradable.
I don't think. Or it takes like 100 million years for them to biodegrade.
So are you saying that we're standing on top of sub-layers of diapers underneath us?
Yes. Well, it is
Yeah.
Florida. We got to raise the land somehow. Give us your trash so we can be 1 foot above sea level, please.
It'll decrease our flooding insurance
Yes.
rates.
See?
So I guess
Diapers are good.
Balancing diapers.
More single-use plastics.
Diapers win again.
No. Yeah, so single-use plastics, like there was just an Explorer. How cool is that to be like an Explorer nowadays? An Explorer went to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, the deepest point in the ocean, in a manned submersible, and found a candy wrapper and a plastic bag. Where only like 3 humans have ever ventured to, or something like that. Less than 10 probably, in the entire lifetime of the Earth. And there is candy wrapper and a plastic bag down there. Disgusting.
Wow. I think, and it's easy to turn a blind eye to that. Like I consider myself somebody who is, I'm environmentally conscious with my diet. Like I've really taken ownership of my food choices and the relationship with food environmentalism. And that is something that I hope changes, that people are willing to factor that in. As a matter of fact, health-wise, you're more, it's more acceptable to be obese as far as kickback from people than it is to change your health. Like somebody were to say, imagine you're just in a restaurant full of a bunch of people and a guy announces like, hey dude, I decided I'm going plant-based diet. Absolute anarchy. Like people would give him so much more guff than somebody who was overweight.
Ordering French fries, 4 desserts, and something else.
Yeah. You would never get somebody who's overweight ordering French fries with ranch dressing at a restaurant. I mean, it makes you cringe not right now because of the way we're conditioned. If somebody said, "Dude, what are you doing? You're really hurting yourself," versus somebody said, "I'm going plant-based, I'm going vegan," and everybody was just like, "What are you doing? You can't do it." And they'll come up with all these reasons why you shouldn't do it, and it's much more acceptable. And I hope that changes, but I also hope that people get the same kind of kickback if you're like, hey, I eat grass-fed beef for the environment, because it's better for the environment, versus somebody who eats like garbage. And we have to really understand our carbon footprint, and that it is actually a real issue.
Can you imagine if processed foods were gone, or like a stigma, like frozen food, like frozen processed foods, or even just
if we could attach
foods?
that stigma to those foods.
Like, can you imagine how healthy the world would be if we were eating real food every meal?
Can you imagine if the organic part of the grocery store
Was the biggest?
wasn't this weird little nook on the side, the back right corner of the grocery store, and all the regular food was the other 95% of, if we flipped that around, if we had the weird processed food section, how different our buying behavior might be.
Yeah. I read something one time. It's like, an easy way to be healthy and lose weight is to only shop on the outside of a grocery store.
Simplest advice ever.
Because usually the produce, and then it's like meats, and then maybe the frozen section or something like that, where it's like frozen, like whole foods, like chicken and beef or something,
Yeah.
fishes.
And do you know why it's arranged like that?
Yeah.
perishable food is easy to change out when it's on the rim of the grocery store, and they can keep all of the coolers and storage right behind it. And so all the stuff that has a super long shelf life, they put it in the harder to rotate areas in the middle.
Yeah.
And so that's, I mean, really think about it. The organic food, organic matter decays naturally. It should be oxidized. Like, that's the natural life cycle of organic matter. And that should tell you something if your food isn't being oxidized or decay. I mean, obviously they took some measures to make sure that didn't happen. And that's just not a natural. If you can imagine what could change in somebody's life by doing that. But obviously my selections are all based on health, because I feel like they change so many more things about their life. But back to the list, I got a lot more really good stuff here. On that note, celebrating sleep deprivation is another one somebody brought up. Like how we champion, dude, I only get 4 hours of sleep a night, and look at me, I'm still crushing it. Yeah, check in with that person 5-6 years from then. Mm-hmm. That's that dude visiting the TRT clinic. That's that dude that is so achy he can't work out. That's that dude that has joint problems. That's that dude that this is starting to deteriorate over time. It's not something to celebrate, and it's not cool. So I hope people get checked on that. That was left on our Instagram by Dr. Moses Bernard. Less emphasis, Kyle Dobbs left this on our social media. Less emphasis on acquiring things and more emphasis on quality of life.
Kyle's big on that. You know, he posts about his family all the time. You know, he's a hard worker in the gym and outside the gym working on his business, but also a huge family guy. Huge family guy, and like quality of life.
Absolutely. And I heard something really interesting in church. If you're not a churchgoer, that's completely fine, but this is something I thought really hit home for me was it's okay to have a reckless devotion to your own well-being. When they say reckless, they mean you don't care about the consequences of those choices. Because if you think about it, there's a lot of choices we make that sacrifice our well-being because we're worried about what might happen or what people might think. Sometimes I get into these rhythms of business where I'm serving others so much that I can't afford to spend as much time on myself as I want, and it kicks me in the butt every time. It will kick us all in the butt every time. It's okay to devote yourself to your own well-being, regardless of the outcome, because the outcome is something you can live with. Some votes that we had for something to become more acceptable, so the reverse. Okay, so we're going the other way with this. These are items that people would like to see that are not acceptable now, they would like to see become acceptable.
Right, one other one for the
unacceptable?
Yes, racism.
Something that becomes totally unacceptable. Yeah. I think we're on our way there, but I think that in private conversation, people are not willing to like cut it off.
Public, it's still way out there, right? Still out there, but like, yes, I think it's getting less, but like in private, I think it's still humongous and needs to go away. Which
obviously fuels the public behaviors as well.
Absolutely.
When no one's looking, or you think no one's looking.
Yes. All right.
So items or behaviors that are unacceptable now that we hope become acceptable. Natural remedies and medication. That's like a secondary resource for a lot of people. You're kind of deemed a hippie a little bit if you're using natural remedies versus pharmaceuticals. I think pharmaceuticals do have a place, and we do have some amazing pharmaceuticals that can work, but just far more acceptable and encouraged to use natural remedies and medications first.
Think about the last time you were at the doctor, right? Like an antibiotic, like if you're cut and you're gonna die if you don't have it, like obviously, like we said, we're not against pharmaceuticals, right? Like some of you need to live, right?
Yeah.
I know I was on a bunch when I was younger, and I probably wouldn't be here if I didn't have modern medicine. But like, think of the last time you were at the doctor, you know, for anything, like any sort of thing that you have, and like, oh, you know, we have this medication for you. How different would it be if it's like, okay, here's a diet plan I want you to follow.
Let's try this first.
Yeah, let's try this first. If it doesn't clear up, then, hey, your cholesterol's high. Like, I don't know. It's just something that I know that's more genetic than food based. But like, okay, here, let's try and eat like XYZ first, and if after X amount of months we retake your blood and it's still high, then we'll try and do this.
Yeah.
Versus here's a pill. Oh, the side effect of this pill is going to be liver damage, so you got to take this pill. Oh, but then this pill causes kidney failure, so we got to make sure we take this pill, which causes heart failure, which you got to get a pacemaker. Like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah. Can we please allow natural remedies to take the forefront, or at least we accept them as an option? We accept them equally as an option as
like joint pain. Like I bet you if some people just took like some curcumin,
yeah,
a lot of their joint pain would be gone.
Yeah, some curcumin, some fish oil. Yeah. See what happens.
Yeah, over the counter stuff that, even if you probably get like there can be higher quality stuff. I think supplements need to get regulated somehow.
Yeah,
but I'm sure taking even like a low dose fish oil and curcumin, it's still better than that pharmaceutical thing. Like there's people in severe joint pain, right? We're not talking about them, but like
that's who pharmaceuticals were designed for.
Yes, but like the normal people are like, oh, my achy this, achy that. Like let me just go get injections. Let me go get this. Let me go get that. Well, how about you lead a healthier lifestyle and maybe like take some proper supplementation?
Yeah, the pharmaceuticals are generally the first line of defense. Mm-hmm. So number 2 on the acceptable list, mandatory vacation time in corporate America. So the point was made here that this was actually my wife, Leah, came up with this one, and that corporate America right now encourages a lot of places do encourage or offer vacation time, paid leave time. But I have a lot of statistics in the F1 course about how many unused vacation days the average person has at the end of the year. We even had a whole podcast on this. The average person is anywhere between 3 to 5 unused vacation days, sometimes even more, at the end of a year. And their biggest fear is unapproving boss or the amount of work that they're going to have when they come back after vacation. And Leah made the point that, we're seeing a lot of health issues that are directly related to stress and this whole picture, and how much that could help if we took maybe a little more of a European style approach to work, where it's normal to take time off, and we see the benefits of it as a culture. So another one that we'd like to see become more acceptable is family-centric lives. So like dinners at the dinner table, a lot of family life prior to industrial era, like when travel became more available, planes, cars, and we could all spread out, like families are just more spread out and stretched throughout the world. So we, in some cultures, a child is raised by their aunts, uncles, and grandmothers and grandparents and the whole family growing up. And now a lot of families are just duking it out on their own. And so that just filters, I think, into, I don't know what the issues are there, but I know that my whole family and my life gets better when my family is near. So the more spread out families get, the harder and maybe a little more empty the family life gets. Automated driving. Now, this is something that one of my clients, Scott, brought up as he thinks it's inevitable at some point. That gets rid of parking tickets. If we get it right, hopefully then it cuts down on accidents.
Drunk driving
eliminates a lot of issues. Who knows what issues it creates, but I think a lot of really dangerous and problematic things go away. So he sees that as something that he would like to see become more acceptable or inevitable. Healthy nutrition, more acceptable to eat healthy than to be overweight. That was one that I feel passionate about. And again, I don't think people should bring up somebody's weight if they're overweight. I know for different reasons in different seasons of someone's life, they might be overweight. I know that testosterone naturally decreases in new fathers up until the kid is like 3 to 5 years old. It's a natural evolutionary trend that a man goes through. They think it has to do with nature's way of making a man a little more docile, less competitive, with other females and all this stuff.
No.
But I'm talking about being obese to the point of a self-inflicted wound because, that really does affect a lot of other things and people in your life. So I hope that eating healthy becomes much more, or being healthy becomes much more acceptable or encouraged. Someone would like to see mandatory maternity and paternity leave, especially, for the first 3 to 6 months of a child's life, and how as a society we can support that first couple months of a child's life and really get centered on the home. And then finally, in the same breath, communal child raising. So being a lot more family centric in the early years of a child's life. And again, a lot of people go it alone, or they have. It's just a lot harder when you do that. And one more on this note, one person voted, one of our coaches here, become more acceptable for women to choose not to have kids in general. That was one thing that was a big high priority. I do think we're kind of there as a society, but if somebody thinks otherwise, I'm more than willing to leave a comment or
and if it was a lady who said that, then obviously we being males were
maybe blind to it a little
bit. Yeah,
I assume we're okay with it. Yeah. Maybe we're not. But that's our take on society. That's what our fan base really feels like they would like to see different in society. Do you have anything to add to that before we wrap it up?
No, because I think a lot of those they can sum into a lot of different things, right? So, yeah, all good. My environment will be better because of this podcast.
Yeah, we can definitely charge for thought. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. This has been the Inward Investing Podcast. I'm Mike Ritter.
I'm Todd Whelan.
And we will see you next week.